r/today I fricked up. Reasonable_shock8360 says. Today I fricked up be drinking around firearms. This was actually over a decade ago, and it still bothers me today. In 2009 I was in my mid-20s, and I had done some skeet shooting, but that's about it. Everybody was worried that the AR-15 wasn't going to be available for sale much longer with the new president, so I bought into the scarcity panic and bought one myself, figuring if it does get banned I'd at least have something sought after. Fast forward a year and some change and my brother is visiting from the army. We are at my childhood best friend's place drinking some beer and sitting around shooting the shit when we all decide to show off what we have with us. Over the night we are passing around our firearms and checking out each other's selection, and eventually the AR-15 makes its way back to me and is on my lap. Now this is where I ed up. 1. Handling firearms while drinking. 2. Not paying attention to what others were doing with them. 3. Not checking it when it got back to me. 4. Not keeping it pointed away. 5. Fidgeting with the thing. At some point, while it was being passed around, it had been charged with a loaded magazine, the safety was off. And now it was on my lap, and I was fidgeting with it while talking. The next thing I know is my ears are ringing, our eyes are all wide, and my brother and best friend, who were sitting next to each other on a couch, both say I just felt something hot go past my face. If that rifle had been turned just a degree on any axis, I could have easily injured or killed one of the people who mean the most to me in the world. I instantly sobered up in the way only adrenaline can. I no longer want to be around guns. I'll still shoot on occasion, but I don't enjoy it in any way. I'm writing this now because maybe there's some other immature and irresponsible person on here that needs to read a warning. And 1. Never drink around firearms. 2. Never assume a gun is unloaded, no matter how short a time it's been away from you. 3. Never point it at anything but the ground. 4. They go off a lot easier than you think they will. And too long, didn't read, thought a rifle was still unloaded when it was handed back to me. Ended up almost shooting my best friend and my brother. Cressel says, can I add to your gun safety rules? My dad is big on gun safety. One of his was only put your finger on the trigger if you're planning on shooting. MoPI says, I thought trigger discipline was like rule numero uno. Jomg04 says, it's actually number 3 in Marine Corps. Rule 1, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Rule 2, never point a weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. Rule 3, keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Rule 4, keep the weapon on safe until you intend to fire. Rule 5, know your target and what is beyond it. You have to break 2 rules to have a negligent discharge. Massiva6969 says, one of the first rules that I always abide by is simple: when alcohol comes out the guns get locked up. It was never about my safety, it was about the idiots who have access. I never hunt with people who are drinking, and never shoot with people drinking. If the people I'm with start drinking, with firearms loose, means it is time for me to leave. I also make 100% sure that when I'm somewhere where people are looking at my firearms, that the ammunition is locked in the cans. I have seen Morons put .22 LR into firearms meant for .22. 9mm in a 45 and so much more idiocy to ever trust anyone with both the firearms and ammo without my direct supervision. Glad no one was injured. Xana K says, this is a reason why we need to take gun ownership more seriously in the United States. I'm not arguing for anything like a ban, but it needs to be drilled into every prospective gun owner that you must follow these precautions and these rules or else you are a massive piece of shit and could potentially be liable. It needs to be near instinctual so that people feel the same way about gun safety as they do about stuff like throwing rocks at a neighbor's window or driving your car into oncoming traffic. Some things you just don't frick around with. Lalachuzovid says, I feel like it should be driven into everyone, regardless of whether they own firearms or not. You never know when you might be out drinking with friends and suddenly one of them is passing around an AR-15 and a loaded magazine to show off. Smartsipant says, you broke pretty much every rule of firearm safety. Nothing about this makes any sense. In what frick-ing world did you think to bring out a gun and loaded magazines into a party with drunk people? Jesus Christ. Boop_bot says, yeah, whoever brings a loaded magazine to a party of drunk people is actually hoping someone dies. That's legit the only reason to do it. They wanted to see someone or something get shot. I mean, he wouldn't give my loaded gun to a sober person who I knew was a gun enthusiast. First thing I do when I pass anybody a gun is pull out the mag and clear the chamber. And I'm sure as frick not putting that mag back in until gun is going to be put up. Or I pull out all the rounds if they want to slap in the mag. And I was in the army around loaded weapons a lot. Still don't trust normal people to not pull the trigger of a gun. r/today I fricked up. Jethro 4 days says, today I fricked up be running over a yellow jacket nest while mowing my lawn. Was mowing my lawn this afternoon with my Gatsaline push mower. Felt a sting on my hand in between my thumb and index finger. Looked down and noticed a yellow jacket on my hand. And put 2 + 2 together and figured I was getting swarmed, so I started flailing my arms and running, which I guess you are not supposed to do. I ran into my house as fast as I could and slammed the door behind me. So I in from my wife and begin to run my hand underwater in the kitchen sink. Then I start feeling stings on my back. They were in my frick-ing shirt. One ended up flying my wife's shorts and stinging her on the bottom of her ass cheek. All in all I got stung 7 times. 4 times on my back, once on my hand, once on my elbow, and once on in my waistband. Ended up killing 8 total in my house. 0/10 would not recommend. Too long. Didn't read. I ran over a yellow jack nest mowing my lawn and they ed me up. Bestum says, when I was in 5th grade, during PE, a killer bee landed in my hair. One of my classmates told me within seconds, and I stood still as a statue. My classmates were telling me to run, and I said no. If I ran, dollars to donuts I'd scare that thing, and it would sting me. I wasn't going to move a muscle. Finally we believed me, and ran and got out PE teacher. PE teacher came over, assessed the situation, flicked it out of my hair, and stepped on it, or at least stepped on something, and told us she'd stepped on it. All I know is I didn't get stung. My classmates were pretty amazed I didn't freak out being so close to being stung by a killer bee. I don't know if the staying still thing works if they are already riled up and angry, though, and I'd assume that having their nest mowed, they'd be plenty angry. Riada Prince says, stay calm. And just let them sting you? I would have flailed around like a maniac and ran inside for safety too. Colloidal oatmeal baths will soothe the hard to reach stings, and I prefer the Benadryl stopping gel as opposed to a cream. The gel covers a larger area more easily and dries faster. I'm a landscaper and get stung at least once a season. Hope you get some relief. The itching as they heal is the worst part. Reb 0014 says, holy shit, I was worried about this when I saw one in the grass the other day before mowing. So what are you supposed to do? In Thublin says, he can't see without his glasses. Outside _cod 667 says, someone in our town did the same thing, but he was allergic and ended up dying unfortunately. Glad you're alive, op. Tatpig says, ouch. I found a nest last spring with the weed eater point. They were not amused. 3 got me. The Flying Hillbilly 2 says, my dad really hated yellow jackets. He had a decades-long feud with them. Apparently he got into a nest once and got stung multiple times. He ran into the house where my mom and her mother tried to treat his injuries. One thought heat was best and the other thought ice was better, so he had hot cloths on some parts and ice packs on others. I guess neither helped much, and he didn't appreciate their doctoring. He went back outside, poured gasoline in the nest and torched it. That gave him satisfaction, if not relief. Rod_Jammer says, I accidentally poked the ground with a pitchfork that turned out to have a nest of yellow jackets and, instantly, swarmed. Ran from the backyard to the front, stripping off my shirt that they got underneath. Ran into the shower and turned it on, which was the only thing that knocked them down. I was stung repeatedly up and down my torso and was pulling those little bastards out of my hair. I felt like I was on fire. My adrenaline was jacked. I waited 30 minutes to see if I was allergic and then promptly had a stiff drink to calm down. The irony is that I'm a beekeeper and have never been stung by a honeybee. Which is why I hate when people describe getting stung by a bee. No, the little demon that stung you was a yellow jacket. Every summer when I spot a nest I wait until dusk and pour boiling water down on it to nuke them. I don't mess around. John 1230 says, I did the same thing. Just started mowing and noticed it was cutting at the wrong height, so I stopped it on the grass to adjust it. Didn't know I stopped the mower right on the nest and got swarmed. Only got one sting on my hand when I tried to smack it off. I flailed around in front of the neighborhood kids and ran inside. My hand swelled up to double the size. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.